All right. We're going to go over the CyberPatriot assignment on your classwork tab today, this Unit 0, Cyber Ethics. First of all, when you get to Google Classroom each day on the classwork tab, make sure you fill out this student check-in form. I'm using this as a participation grade. This tells me that you either checked in if you are a virtual student or that you were actively participating in class, at least to the point of having your laptop. So this is a participation grade that you're going to get. Right here, this CyberPatriot assignment is the one that we're going to do today. If you have not already completed the cell phone policy form, you need to make sure you take care of that. It does not have to be done every day. This is a one-time assignment letting me know that you understand the cell phone policy within the classroom. Virtual students can do this as well because you're not going to be playing on your cell phone while we're doing class, but this is mainly for in-class. This list of past due assignments here, these are the things that you need to go back and make sure you have turned in. These should all be grayed out. They should all be turned in. Some of these you possibly did on Schoology, and all you have to do is copy and paste into this. Your careers project should have been turned in on Schoology or here. Make sure you turn it in here as well on Google Classroom because this is where I'm going to do the grading. We have some assignments right here, some more reflections. Again, if you did them in your composition book, take a picture of them. You can use the camera on your laptop to do that and upload these. And also these chapter 1 and chapter 2, these are the things that we are behind on or that they are past due, but I'm not counting late points off on them. I'm giving you full credit for turning them in because we were involved in testing for those weeks and some of you didn't have your laptops. Well, none of you had your laptops except maybe the virtual kids. So we need to make sure that these things get turned in by Friday. You have all this week. I gave you Thursday and Friday of last week. I gave you Monday, and you have the rest of the week to get these turned in and caught up so that I can get your grades fixed. All right, we're going to start right here on this CyberPatriot Unit 0 Cyber Ethics. You're going to click on the assignment. You don't have to open this document right here, but you can click View Assignment, and up at the top on the right-hand side, you're going to create or add, but you're going to create a Google Doc. You're going to click on that Google Doc, and you're going to take notes as we go along. Now, what we're going to do as we go along is I'm going to tell you the things that you need to write down, that you need to be aware of, notes that you need to take, and then you can either type them in, or you could go back to the document later on and copy and paste the notes that you need in there. Those things like that. I need you to sit up, please. We need to make sure that all of this stuff gets into your notes. And there will be some discussion questions as we go along that you'll need to answer. And again, you can just take a picture of them if you're having to do it on paper and upload it when you get your laptop back. There will be a quiz on each one of these units, about 5 to 10 questions, but that won't be till later this week. We have to cover some of these things like this as CyberPatriot. We have some things that need to get dealt with before the end of the year, and so we're going to make sure that we cover this. We're not going to go into huge depth, but I'm going to make sure that you have the information that you need and you understand what you need to understand to give you a foundation for future classes in cybersecurity. All right, let's see. We're going to go ahead and go to our document, which is right here. And we need to go back to the beginning. All right, what you're going to put on your document is not Unit 3, but Unit 0, Cyber Ethics. This is what we're starting with, is Unit 0, Cyber Ethics. Put that as the title on your notes. Put that as the title on your document, however you choose to do that. Learning objectives. Students will understand what ethics are. We're going to talk about exactly a definition for ethics is and, you know, why it really matters, why ethics are important, how to act ethically, the responsibility that comes with knowing cybersecurity principles, because there's a whole lot of ethics involved in cybersecurity, how to apply ethics in the real world. These are your learning objectives. You have your choice of copying and pasting those into your document, or you can write them down. It might be better if you copy and paste. And then we're going to go back when we finish this unit, and you're going to write down what ethics are and why they're important and how to act ethically. You're going to answer these as if they were questions so that we know you accomplished everything you needed to accomplish here. Remember that anytime that we're doing a video like this, you can stop the video to write down what you need to write down, or go to your document and copy and paste. That is entirely permissible. Just go ahead and stop it, and then go ahead and pick back up whenever you're ready to play. All right. Principles of cyber ethics. Do not and do's. These are like the 10 commandments of cybersecurity. It says, do not use a computer to harm other people. Do not interfere with other people's computer work. That means don't go up to somebody when they're working on their computer and slam it shut and get in the way of them getting their work done. Do not snoop around in other people's computer files. Do not use a computer to steal. Do not use a computer to bear false witness. Don't spread lies about people. Do not copy or use proprietary software for which you have not paid. If you need to use a program, either buy the program, or if someone else has the program that you can use on their computer, you know, that's kind of different, but don't steal software. Do not use other people's computer resources without authorization or proper compensation. This last one, do not appropriate other people's intellectual output. Intellectual property is a big deal when you're talking about cybersecurity. There's a lot of intellectual property out there. You know, so Eli Whitney made the cotton gin. That was a physical piece of equipment. He could put a patent on that physical piece of equipment. He could sell that as something that he made. Intellectual property, it's a lot harder to make something that, you know, to make it something concrete, because it's not concrete. A song is a song. You can't touch it. You can feel it in your feelings, but you can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't taste it. You can't smell it. You can hear it, but it's not a physical thing that you can touch. So it's considered intellectual property. You have to be careful with intellectual property nowadays. People can get very touchy about intellectual property, and rightly so. A music producer, Toby Mac, he produces a lot of music. That is his intellectual property. It is not a physical thing, but that's how he provides for his family, is through that music. So it is a property. So you have to be careful how you guard that kind of property, and you don't want to steal that kind of property. It says, think about the social consequences of the program you are writing or the system you are designing. If you're designing something on the computer, you want to make sure that you are considering the social consequences or the social benefits of this thing. You have to be careful with things you design. You don't want to design things that are going to hurt people. You want to design things that are going to help people or make them more productive. Always use a computer in ways that ensure consideration and respect for your fellow humans. Our world is much smaller now. We can be friends with people on the other side of the world that we may never, ever meet. We may never meet these people. We may never see them in our whole lives, but they are still human beings. They are still part of our world. And they still deserve consideration and respect, whether you're ever going to meet them or not. They are human beings, and they deserve respect. And so there's a lot of cyber ethics that come into play and how we treat people, especially when we are online or when we are doing things on social media, things like that. All right, let's see. Next one. Oh, again, you can stop the video if you need to, because you can copy and paste this into your notes, or you can retype it. It does not matter to me. Copy and paste is probably going to be the quickest. But I'm not going to stop right here, so we're going to move on. And if you need to stop the video, you can do so and you can take care of this later, or you can do it now. Introduction right here. Ethics are about right and wrong. What is right? What is wrong? Well, first of all, you're going to ask yourself the question, what is right? What does right even mean? And what I want you to do is I want you to type that word right into your document, or you can copy and paste this and answer it like questions. And then I want you to go to dictionary.com and I want you to find a definition for the word right. So I'm going to do that right here. We're going to go to dictionary.com. It's not going to let us use dictionary.com. Okay, you may have to do that part at home, but dictionary.com has some great definitions, and I'll find out why we can't use it later on. But dictionary.com will have those definitions. I want you to find a definition for the word right. It may be something more along the lines of appropriate or acceptable or correct. All right. Somebody in first period said, when I asked him the question, what is right? And he goes, well, it's not wrong. Well, you're not wrong when you say that. You are correct when you say that. But we need a deeper definition than that. And then what is wrong? Well, you can't just say that it's not right. You have to go a little bit deeper into that definition. So you're going to write a definition for right and a definition for wrong. You can do that now, or you can come back to it later in your notes. This question right here, how do we know? How do you know if something is right or wrong? How do you know? Melissa, how do you know if something is right or wrong? What's your first clue that you get if something is right or wrong? How do you feel when you do something that's right? You feel good about it? Okay. How do you feel if you do something you know is wrong? Yeah. We have, as human beings, that innate sense that says, ooh, this just doesn't feel right. This feels like it's very wrong. You know, we have that. It's called our conscience. And sometimes we just have that sense that this is just not the right thing to do. We know these things inherently. So I want what you're going to do, make sure you write your definition for right, your definition for wrong, and then I want you to answer the question in your notes. How do we know if something is right or wrong? All right, why ethics? Ethics are important because they promote a sense of fairness, of, of treating people with respect and dignity and kindness and fairness. It creates a set of rules or acceptable behaviors. Ethical practices help us identify what unacceptable behavior looks and feels like. That word "and" right there shouldn't be on there. It just doesn't make any sense. So ethical practices help us identify what unacceptable behavior looks and feels like. When we have ethics, values, morals, virtues, those are things that matter to us. And those are things that matter to us as human beings. And in our world of cybersecurity, it is more and more important that we pay attention to those ethics and what is right and wrong. What is ethics? This is a super important definition right here. Standards for right and wrong. You need to make sure that you write that down into your notes. What is ethics? That is standards for right and wrong. They tell us what we should do in a different situation. They can be written or unwritten. Written ethics are things like your company mission statement, our school policies on academic dishonesty, our dress code, things like that. Those are ethics. Mainly the academic dishonesty. Dress code, that's kind of something different. That might not have been the best example to give. But there's school policies on academic dishonesty. I'm sorry, what? Which one do we write down? You need to make sure that you're writing down that ethics is standards for right and wrong. That is the main definition. That's not very many words, but that's a big definition. Again, school policies can be written. Those are our ethics for how we behave at school. Unwritten standards. Don't cut in a line. It's rude to cut in a line. That's not a written rule. It's not a written law. It's not on the law books, but it's rude to go up to a long line and, oh, I'm just going to cut right in front of you. It's rude to do that. And that is not a written standard of ethics. Opening doors or holding elevators for people. It is the polite thing to do to open a door for someone. It is the polite thing to do to hold an elevator door or hold the door open, whatever. But there's not a law that says that we have to do that. It's just kind of part of our inherent moral code of politeness and courtesy. Sources of ethics. These are sources of ethics come from laws. There are laws that say that you cannot kill people. There are laws that say that you cannot steal from people. Those are laws. It's not ethical to go out and just walk in your neighbor's house and take whatever you want. That's stealing. We don't do that. And there's a law. We get our ethics from our feelings. Remember I said you have that innate sense of that just doesn't feel right. You know, we know if something feels right and we know if something feels wrong. We get them from societal norms. Society says, hey, you know, hold the door open. Don't slam it because somebody's coming right behind you. You know, don't do that. Hold the door open for them. Be polite. We don't go out in public, societal norm. We don't go out in public dressed inappropriately. We cover ourselves with the appropriate clothing when we go out. Things like that. Religion. From your church background, from your family background, your religion, things like that. There's where you get a lot of your ethics from. Philosophies that are out there and family. I would say that probably the majority of your ethics come from your family and from your religion. Again, feelings, societal norms, those things are there, but you get a lot of those things as a result of your religion and your family as well. So you need to make sure you copy down these sources of ethics and be able to kind of explain how they have an effect on your ethics and your morals. All right, ethical behavior. Do people make good decisions? Well, if I was going to answer that question, I would say yes, sometimes. They make good decisions and sometimes they don't. But usually people make good decisions. Do people always make good decisions? Well, my answer to that would be no, but I think they try. Do you make good decisions? That's something that you're going to have to answer. Do you always make good decisions? And I like this last question here. Does a bad decision mean you're unethical? I know I've made some bad decisions, but it didn't necessarily mean that they were unethical. Just maybe there was a choice at the time and I made a choice and maybe I should have gone with the other option. But what I want you to do with these is I want you to either copy and paste these questions into your notes or retype them, and I want you to answer them in 1 to 2 sentences each. So you can either stop the video right now and answer the questions, or you can come back to them later. Either way is fine. Because remember, again, we're going to move on in the video. You can come back to these things. You will have time to do that. All right. Next. Understanding versus behavior. This is a very important statement right here. This knowing right from wrong doesn't automatically mean we do the right thing. Sometimes we know what the right thing to do is, but we don't do it. Sometimes we know something is the wrong thing to do, but we do it anyway. We are humans. We do this. So understanding versus behavior, you may know what right from wrong is, but it doesn't always mean you do the right thing. This is something really important that you need to put in your notes. Again, you can copy and paste or you can retype. Ethical behavior requires. You have to have courage if you're going to use ethical behavior, because it says, see something, say something, be willing to go against your friends or peers, and stand up to bullies. Sometimes you have to have courage to do the right thing. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to do the right thing, because sometimes it's simpler to do nothing. Sometimes it's simpler to just turn your back and walk away and not have any say or any effect. But sometimes courage has to be there for you to stand up and say, wait a minute, that's not right. You can't do that to somebody. You have to have humility in ethical behavior, because even you can make a wrong decision. Remember, it said just because you know what's right, you don't always do what's right. Or sometimes you have a choice and sometimes you think later, maybe that other choice was better. Doesn't mean it was unethical, just means it was better. Humility. Are you better than the average driver? Do you get road rage? Are you more ethical than the average person? All right, you have to think about that. You have to think about, and you have to have humility about it. Sometimes people don't have the same moral standards that you do, but that doesn't give you the right to look down on them. Maybe they weren't taught. Maybe they weren't taught that it wasn't okay to cut in line. Maybe nobody showed them. All right. Again, you have to have humility about certain things and not hold yourself in a higher light than other people. That's part of ethical behavior. Make sure that you're getting these things into your notes. All right. Questions. Does the internet make it easier or harder to act ethically? I don't know. I can see that one both ways. Is it easier or harder to do the right thing when others are watching? Again, that might depend on the situation. It still could be really hard to do the right thing if you're going to have to do something totally different than your peers do. Sometimes it's easier to do the wrong thing when they're around. Or sometimes, let's say it's an authority figure in your life, it's definitely easier to do the right thing than the wrong thing when an authority figure is watching. So you're going to have to look at those questions and think of the different types of situations that you could be in. Is it easier or harder to do the right thing when it means that you have to choose between friends? That's a tough question. You are going to need to answer these 3 questions in your notes in 3 to 5 sentences each. At least 3 sentences, no more than 5, unless you just feel like you need to write more. You can copy and paste them into your notes and answer them underneath that, or you can simply write your answers into your notes and put it on the document. Just make sure that I know what you're answering here. You could call this questions on slide 11 if you want to, or copy and paste. Again, we're not going to stop here, but you can stop the video if you need to when you're watching the video and answer these questions. All right, we're going to go to this case study right here. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to stop right here with the questions on this video today. There will be another video where we finish this up and we'll talk about some of the case studies that are on here, but we'll do those tomorrow. Before I stop the video, are there any questions on what you need to do with this activity that we did today, especially that might be helpful to other people that are watching? Do you understand what to do? All right. Kennedy, do you understand what to do? Okay, then I am going to go back to the Google Meet. And I am going to stop the recording. Well, I need to stop sharing first. And go back to the Google Meet. All right.